You're listening to Business Talk Radio, where we take business to the next level.
Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn connects you with experts from all over the world to help you take charge of your career, your business, and your life. Rap along with us. Visit drjacalyn.com to learn how to become a guest or a sponsor. And now, the doctor is in.
Hello and welcome. We've got such a great show for you today. You are watching Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn presents Pet Psychic Aminah. I am not Pet Psychic Aminah, in case you were confused. I am Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. I am your host, executive producer, director, and broadcast engineer. And my co-host is in the room. Hello, welcome.
Hey, how is everybody today?
Nice to see you today on this Friday. I'm sure it's sunny there, right?
Absolutely. It's California. Everybody says you have weather? Sometimes. Snow in parts. We literally have almost all the topographies. We've got desert, we've got mountains, we've got ocean. We've got it all here. And so it's. I feel very blessed. I feel very blessed to have been raised in California and lived most of my life in California.
Sounds like a great place to live. I've had a lot of good times in California, different sections of California, but yeah, we've had all kinds of weather here. That's for sure.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, we're supposed to be in the 90s, so that's a little warm for us, especially with all the dry grass.
Yeah, that is. But we still have a great show that we're going to deliver today, right?
Absolutely. One of my favorite buddies is Doti Boon. And so she came with one of her fabulous hats, and we love them. Doti is she has been my educator. She has been the one that I go to when I'm like, what is this? And why is this? I wasn't raised around any type of metaphysical or psychic anything at all. My parents weren't very religious, but my siblings were. And so we spent a lot of time just going, when we camped, which was a lot, we went to whatever church was nearby. So I'm very fortunate to have gone to pretty much every type of church, even a synagogue and some other facilities of other faiths. It's been eye-opening, absolutely eye-opening. Been to the Middle East, and that. Doti really keeps me grounded. And I have already preempted and asked her to talk about a couple of different things in her experience. And we're going to cover, I get asked all the time, well, how did you become psychic? I don't know. I was born this way with what I hear. I just needed a translator. So when I landed back in San Jose, California, because I was down in Los Angeles for a long time, I found the Center for Creative Living. And she's the pastor of that. And I went to them and went, what is this? What is this? And everybody says you're going to get a guide. So I'm like, okay, do you go to the store for that? Do you go down to the local bookstore? I don't know how any of that works because it's never been a part of my world. So I am very, very young in this learning. And I'm really hoping that Doti and I are going to really open up, answer some questions. Please, if you have a specific question, type it in, send it in, give us a call. We'd love to hear from you because we can steer the conversation anywhere our audience wants to go.
Thank you for all that great information. Thank you. Welcome. Yeah, I'm happy that Doti's back here too, because I love the whole concept of non-denominational church where everyone's welcome, and it's very inclusive, which I think is we need that everywhere, right? We need a lot more of that.
More every day, more than ever. I'm actually Muslim. And so she asked me that when I came in, and it was just so inclusive. I mean, the virtual hug I got from the moment of hello. Luckily, we'd literally just met, so she didn't just grab me and say, "Oh, hi." It would have been a little bit But it was so neat to be welcomed, and it was about the first or second time I had out loud said I am a pet psychic, and so it's getting used to that new moniker after my name, but just the overwhelming welcome. So what's neat is they are staying online and in person, so anybody anywhere in any country can join the Center for Creative Living on their channel and be a part of the services and learn so much, because the body of people that go to the Center for Creative Living is as diverse as the real world. It really is.
And I think that's so important to offer continued availability to worship online and to be a part of the community, because there are people who cannot make it in person, right? And yeah, so I think that's great. We'll talk to Dottie about that. Why don't we take a quick break and then we'll bring her on?
Absolutely.
So I'm playing today this music video that just really resonates with me. It's called Paradise, and it's by two sisters from Cardiff, and their names are Victoria and Lavinia, and they are the debutantes. So if you are on Instagram, you can follow them, the debutantes, and I think it's just a real feel good. So I'm going to put us backstage so their clip can fill the screen. We'll be right back.
Take me to who needs paradise.
You're listening to Business Talk Radio, where we take business to the next level.
Welcome back. That was Victoria and Lavinia, two sisters from Cardiff, the debutantes. You can find them on Instagram. Are you a singer, Aminah?
I used to be. I used to be.
La 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 la. La, la, la.
No, it was wonderful. Sorry, hopefully it says only she can see me. Okay, that's okay. But no, I actually sang at Disneyland, and I
wow.
And yeah, people are like, how do you get to be on so comfortable on stage? I've been doing it since I was 9. So that's the first public speaking, but I come from a mother who did public speaking and that kind of stuff. My kids do it. So it's that genetic gene you pass on. There's just a comfort there. I mean, just like you have. We might not actually see our audience, but we know they're there. We really feel them, and we send out that love. But yeah, music was a really big deal as I was growing up. Just absolutely loved it. And my dad used to always say, "Oh, who is the singer?" I said, "I don't know." And he's like, "But you know all the words." Well, that's irrelevant. I couldn't afford to buy the music. I wasn't, I didn't have that kind of money or anything. I didn't babysit enough for that. Because I come from one of 4 sisters. So, all the neighbors called one sister, and then they had more kids and had called the next sister, and off we went.
Yeah.
So I did a lot of that, but that's not enough money to buy enough music. But I own a lot now.
So are you comfortable singing for us?
Oh, no. A few years ago, no, more than a few years ago, I got laryngitis 3 times. So I lost my voice completely. So it changed my octave completely. So, So I kind of went down to la, 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 la.
Well, maybe you can make your own video skipping through the nature
as long
thing,
as
la, la, la.
dogs and cats and monkeys running through. Maybe not the monkeys; they're a little aggressive. But people don't realize that. But any of those wild animals walking through, and I'm absolutely thrilled because then I would go la la la.
So happy! It's just so pleasant. And speaking of pleasant, why don't we bring Reverend Doti on?
Absolutely.
All right, you want to give any more of an introduction than you did already?
No, she's fabulous, and we're going to answer questions. And anybody who has one, please do so.
Okay, welcome, Reverend Doti.
Hi there, welcome. What a wonderful way to start the day with beautiful women singing and Aminah joining in, la la la. And there you are, Jacalyn, with a smile on your face. I mean, life couldn't get much better than that.
Absolutely. And you guys, oh my gosh, we all match. You guys are wearing almost the same color, and I'm wearing a pink.
I know. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Well, you deal with 2 psychics, so we knew. No, we have a lot of psychic jokes in our house. I don't know if Dottie bothers with those anymore, but people are like, I've actually had street, people that meet me in a more business sense, and like, you can't read minds, can you? Oh no, man! Thank God for that. I don't want to know what you're thinking.
It's funny. And now that I have 2 psychics here, I mentioned this to Aminah right before the show started. This has to be something bigger than what I understand. But I was on StreamYard doing a training, and I was not using my phone. My phone was over here, and then I went to go onto this show, and I hear a man's voice coming out of my phone. I'm like, what is going on? Somehow the phone went into the Clubhouse app, right? And not only did it go into the app, I got into a room, and the room it's celebrity something or other. And I look at the top of the phone, and one of the guys running the room invited me to come on stage and speak. I'm like, what? That is the weirdest thing I have ever seen in my life. That has to be some kind of fate. I can't even express that. So anyway, I believe.
Invited.
But Jacalyn, you put that in motion.
Yeah.
Somehow you were thinking this morning, I need some more exposure. And there
Could
it came.
be. Yeah, there it came. So
we are so powerful with our thoughts. You just put a thought out there and it just magnifies, it just mushrooms. And all of a sudden things start happening and you go, I don't know how this is happening to me. And if you just stop and say, is this part of my fondest desire or is this part of my worst fear? Because fear translates so rapidly. When you say, oh no, I hope X doesn't happen to me. And then little bits start bumping into you. And you go, what? That's just what I said I didn't want. Well, the universe doesn't analyze. And if you say, oh no, that's going to happen to me, it will. So you have to be really careful with your thoughts and particularly careful with your words.
Really important. So a question as a follow-up to that, for all of us, when we have that little fear creeping in about something, whatever it is, do we immediately say, no, I dismiss you, you were not here? How do we handle that?
I just go cancel. I just very quickly, if I'm walking through the house and I forget that there's something there and I'm about to trip, I'll just go cancel, and my foot will magically raise higher than it usually would, and I don't trip over it. So anything that comes in that you are fearful of, just say cancel. I have so many stories where I was very, very fearful about something and dealt with it in a way of just saying cancel or smiling. Or I have stories all over the world where other people said, weren't you scared? No, I knew I was being taken care of. I knew that Source was there protecting me because I'd asked for that protection. So instead of being fearful, just be delighted that there is a protection there that's greater than you.
Well said.
And I want to add to that, the scary part is I worked in a place where there were a tremendous amount of biting, scratching, tiger, bears, and chimpanzees and that kind of stuff. But the biggest thing were the wildlife that we were around. And so what I started doing is taking pictures for because I had, cell phones are amazing, taking pictures of all the rattlers I bumped into. And I mean, literally bumped into. But I will tell you now, I have never tried anti-venom because, again, you put out that love. They know I'm not, first of all, terrified of them. For example, a coworker and I were walking at midnight. We were doing a compound check of all the animals, make sure everybody's in the cages, because that does happen. One night, we're walking around and 2 porcupines walked by me and my coworker, and I'm thinking, what's wrong with this picture? No cage around them. I'm thinking, because we see these animals all the time, 7 days a week, all this kind of stuff. But then, out of context, it's like seeing somebody that you work with, but you're on vacation, and you go, wait a minute, I know that person, but why? So anyways, this rattler, we stopped to exchange keys, and we were, within talking distance because it was very late, so we were pretty close. And I said, hey, Bob, don't move. There's a rattler at our feet. And he literally was at our feet, and the rattler's thinking, "Oh God, 2 carnivores! They're going to kill me!" and he and I were both very experienced. We just stepped 1 step back calmly, and that thing took off. And he's like, "Oh, whew, dodge that thing." I've actually grabbed a baby. Babies are the most dangerous to be around. They don't have that regulation on their venom. They don't have the knowledge of saying, I can't eat you, you're too big. So they give you a whole blast of venom instead of just a little bit. It's just very complicated with baby rattlers. And so I grabbed him on accident because he was under a weed I was pulling. And I laughed and I said, okay, sorry. And I moved on. But I happen to love them and I respect them. And that's, I think, a big thing is that you respect what you're doing and where you are and just live in a better place. And as Dottie said, you go, oh, let's make a change. Let's make like that positive step.
Aminah, I was raised in a house that we lived over a nest of sidewinders.
There you go.
In the desert. And, and everybody said, oh, you've got to kill them. You got to kill them. And
sidewinders are very
a type of rattler.
Like the rattler, but they go sideways when they move.
And so my grandfather said, no, we don't. We just walk heavy. So anytime my mother would say, are you stomping through the house? And now we were living in the city. Are you stomping through the house? Yep. You never know. But growing up around those types of things, you have a mutual respect.
Yes.
And it's amazing because they detect fear and they don't know what that is. That's scary to them when they detect our fear.
Well, it's what you're saying, Dottie. It's in our world, as far as in the psychic world, it's imbalance. Fear comes across as imbalance. And think about anybody who's in a fear state. It is the most dangerous place to be in with wildlife and your pets. Because if your pet is feeling fear, they're like, oh my God, who do I kill? You know, if you're dealing with a carnivore, cat, dog, they're like, oh, who do I protect them against? And it's like, no, if you want a balanced animal, balanced children, balanced marriage, you need to come in balanced. And that's not always possible, but you work on it every day. You habituate yourself to being balanced and finding it. For me, I go for a walk in nature. I just planted a bunch of plants. Yeah, I'm kind of paying for it because the hands are hurting. But I'll bring you guys a picture. I have the most stunning sunflowers. My daughter bought me a bush this big.
Oh, my favorite.
At the bottom of our stairs. So guess what? Every time we come home, you're greeted by this giant bush of fully blooming sunflowers. I mean, who can be unhappy? Nobody.
Sounds stunning. You have to show us a picture. You have to get a picture of that.
I will. I'll send you a picture. We'll put it up on the screen.
Perfect.
So, question I have is, is snakes are dangerous is a misnomer?
No, they're dangerous if you see them as a threat.
Yes.
When you start going, oh my God, they're going to hurt me, you start exuding something they can pick up on. Is that correct, Aminah?
Yeah, because of the energy. We talk in energy. So if you're scared, frightened, angry, any of those strong emotions, laughter and happy is a strong emotion, but it is so differently received unless you're laughing like a hyena. Because there are people who laugh that hard. The animals are kind of confused on that one. But if you're sending love, for me, when I grabbed that baby snake, I laughed my butt off thinking, oh my God, wait till my daughters hear about this one. They're going to fall out of their seats. I'm having more fun thinking, I got a new story about my weird life. Because they all go, you're nuts. And I love being nuts. I love being nuts. And so it is about that positive energy.
Yeah, it's the same as when I was little, we used to take tarantulas and make little carts with thread and little spools of thread and have tarantula races. And we never got hurt. We never got stung or anything else. They seem to enjoy it too.
Now that's a new one. That's a new one. Tarantula races. I love it.
Well, and they're fabulous. I was doing a educational program for a private school, and so I got one of the tarantulas out to hold in my hand. But he was like, "Oh, great, I'm free!" So I'm doing this, and I, so he could run from hand to hand to hand to hand because I don't want him to run around the school where we were in the cafeteria or in a conference room. And so after about 10 of these, he's like, okay, I'm not going anywhere. So he just kind of hung out of my hand, and then I put him up on my shoulder, and I have pictures of these. So when anybody asks me about, what I did or what I was doing, I've got a picture of a tarantula sitting on my shoulder, and they're like, you are so strange. They are so kind, because if you put out love, and this is true with humanity, this is true with animals, this is true with the earth. If you truly put out that love and you don't overuse, you don't clear whole forests, which kill everything, bug, animal, everything, and you cohabitate truly, then you'll get back love. And that's true in every relationship, in every part of your life. And that's true for business. Jacalyn, the way you and I really hit it off with you is I think we talked about your dogs half the time and that type of stuff, but we found heart similarities. And you guys know what I mean. Heart similarities, not just, hey, I've lived, you've lived, we've had some businesses, because you would think our lives were very opposite of each other, but we found those heart connections. And that's what I found with Dottie and her wife Corky, and those heart connections where there's respect. Sure, we have differences. Sure, we don't agree on everything, but you need to have heart connections with the world. Otherwise, we're just going to continue just to burn and be sick and not care about it.
Yeah, definitely. I wanted to follow up with you about the 4th of July and find out were there any stories that you heard, any positive or negative?
There was a great deal of both. There were a lot of people, especially online, that just on the animal pages, they were looking for their pets. They were crushed. They had a lot of anxiety. Animals are habituated to people now, so they do have a lot of anxious issues. This is not something that's normal in wild. They don't, I eat, I live, I have babies, I eat, I live, and I die, and that's the way it goes. What we have created in our need for everything, pollution and sounds and everything. So there was a huge discussion the day before on one of my platforms about all these pet owners just so angry with their neighbors because, first of all, they were firing off firecrackers the day before and the police weren't coming and it was illegal and the fire issue and all that. But all of them were talking about just the huge price their pets were paying. Just everything from peeing all over the floor to hiding under the bed to literally, if you've never seen somebody, an animal shake from fear, it's heartbreaking. I mean, it's bad enough to see a person do it, but you see just a small dog or a big dog even more so, I think, because you think of them so tough and all this. And just everybody saying how they'd like to have the community, as far as the government and stuff, really cut down on this because houses are burning down. And in California, we get a grass fire going and everybody loses besides the pollution and that type of stuff. But yeah, there was a lot of outpouring the day before the fireworks were supposed to go off because so many people are still having access to them from anywhere, and a lot of pet issues, and everybody just encouraging everybody to keep them indoors, whatever that is. If you can, horses need to be in the barn, and just soothing music, whatever works for your animals, and keeping them safe.
What are your thoughts about tranquilizing a dog or giving them something to calm them down if they're going to be around loud noise or fireworks?
That would be at the last effort. It would be like taking somebody a human who has anxiety and who has separation or any kind of mental illness and tranquilizing them. So that's not an answer. It's a banded situation, and you can cause medical issues because all medication creates side effects for certain animals and people. So there are natural ways to do that. There are natural herbs. I don't have any on the top of my head right now, but those are things to talk to, the vets and a holistic person. I hear a lot about CBD. It works for some people, some animals, some humans. It doesn't work for other people. These are the things to try when there's no emergency. When there's no, so you can say, let's say you try CBD and you try like the oil and you put a drop on their tongue and they go, blah, blah, blah. And they're thinking, what'd you just poison me with? But then you get to watch their behavior when it's not necessary that they calm down right now. Do you know what I mean? Do it when it's not a crisis. Do it when you have time to watch 24 hours. Check with the vet, check with a trainer if you have one. Read all the books. As my kids would say, Google it. And see what people are saying about what worked and what didn't work, because your breed, the size of the animal, it's all going to be about dosage. Talk to a good trainer. Do your homework before there's an issue, because at some point you might need to travel. You and your animal might be too nervous to do that. The bigger ones have to be in the airplane underneath. Don't even get me started on that. They do lose their lives if they haven't regulated the temperature, gotten enough water, all that kind of stuff. So there's things to know. Prevention only happens if you plan. And you can plan as much as you can with what you know. 4th of July happens in the United States every year. It does. Plan. You got a whole year.
Ta-da! Well, wake up, people.
That's the problem. We don't plan. We don't plan for unemployment. We don't plan for a pandemic. Nobody could. But what would happen if you haven't got 3 months of income set aside? What if you don't have a retirement plan and you end up retiring eventually? Everybody's job, the people are in private businesses in like construction or healthcare, and you're the nurse or something. It's really hard. It's really, really hard to put that money aside because and people in fast food specifically, they're not making a living wage. How do you put anything aside besides just pay for today?
Just getting by.
Yeah, just getting by. And that's not the way it should work, because we've seen other countries give a living wage and still have a great life.
Very true. Very true. On that note, we're going to take a break and we're going to hear from a couple of our sponsors, and we'll be right back. Stay with us with Aminah and Reverend Doti.
Hello, boys and girls, and welcome to Story Garden. Your host, Diane Boehm. I'm so happy to have you here today.
Diane Floyd Boehm tells wonderful stories that warm the heart, spark the imagination, and unite people and families across generations. For children, Diane's Harry the Camel connects with all of us who've ever wondered how different our lives might have been if only we'd been born something better, like a wonderful horse instead of an ordinary camel. In the end, we all learn along with Harry that there's nothing better than just being yourself. Diane's Little Girl in the Moon looks down on earthbound children and wonders if they know she's just like them. A story of love, home, and the bond between mother and daughter, its powerful theme that we're each of us different yet all of us the same plants a seed in children that promises to blossom within a loving and trusting grown-up. Diane's new biography, Rise, recounts the experiences of her grandmother, Ruby, to reveal the hidden strength of the human spirit. Ruby's story inspires all of us to become the best versions of ourselves. You'll find all of Diane's delightful books and much more at DianeFloydBoehm.com. Visit DianeFloydBoehm.com. That's DianeFloydBoehm.com.
The session that we had with BCAT was really entertaining and enlightening. We were able to put together some very specific steps that we as individuals can take, and it was really fun to all come together and see sort of where we're going as a team and how we can all get there together.
We had a tremendous experience with the BCAT partners. One of the challenges that we have as an organization is to make sure that we have the right people in the right chairs doing the right thing. To do that well, you have to have synergy. You can try to dream up ways to make sure that your group does that, or you can rely on experts. We would recommend BCAT partners to anybody who's looking to take their organization to the next level.
My name is Zane Carson Caruth, and I'm the author of this book, The World's First Tooth Fairy Ever.
Reading is magic. Studies have shown that reading to your children lays the foundation for greater success in life. Reading helps develop language and vocabulary skills. It helps improve memory, and it encourages curiosity and inspires creativity. The benefits are immeasurable, and as a parent, you'll benefit too. In only 10 or 15 minutes a day, you'll be creating warm memories and a bonding experience that will last for years to come. So take time to read to your children. Read them books about things that engage and interest them. Tales of fairies and magic fascinate children, and as everyone knows, the Tooth Fairy is at the top of the list. If your child loves magic, wands, adventure, and what child doesn't, you'll love reading them books from the trademarked series, The World's First Tooth Fairy Ever. Follow along as Bella, the world's first tooth fairy, accidentally starts the tooth fairy tradition. Learn the tricks of being a professional tooth fairy in the book, Bella Starts a Tooth Fairy School. Your child's imagination will soar as you read the adventures of Bella and her magic wand. These wonderful books are available at worldsfirsttoothfairy.com. and at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Walmart.
Ladies and listen to a radio show on the planet even the other stations are tuned in too.
You're listening to Business Talk Radio, where we take business to the next level.
Hello and welcome back. I have the pleasure of being with two psychics today. How cool is that? You're watching Rapping. You're watching Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn presents Pet Psychic Aminah, and our guest Reverend Doti is back with us again. We're so happy to see you, Reverend Doti.
Thank you very much.
So Doti, tell us a little bit about what we talked about, and of course I've forgotten because I've already talked to 4 other people after you, that I was hoping you would cover about. I get asked all the time, I think it was about, can you just go out and be psychic? Can you study this books in the library? You know, how does this happen to some of us, but not all of us? Of that?
I don't know how it happens to other people. And I don't know what it's like to not be psychic. So you have to start from there. Because as a very small child, I was always doing things that people pretty soon got used to, such as knowing who was on the phone when the phone rang, knowing when the mailman was going to be there, even if the mailman was running late or early, knowing who the letters were from. Now, when I was young, it was during the Second World War, because I'm an old broad, okay? And so I would know if we were getting a message from my father who was in the South Pacific. I'd know if my Uncle Hans was writing us. They got so they were used to this. They'd say, well, Dottie, are we getting a letter today? And it was accepted in my family. That's what I did. And if I get sick and I'd say, oh, I think I have, got to the point that everyone said, oh, she's a hypochondriac, because I always knew what I was getting instead of waiting for all of the measles to pop out or for the stiffness in my neck. I'd say, oh, I've got the mumps. Now, and all of that came because I am a medium. They call people like me psychic. But what happens is I have a spirit guide, and his name is Mahalaleel. And he started talking to me when I was very young, under 5 years old. And I've been calling him Ma, M-A-H, ever since. And he whispers virtually in my head. You think of whispering as coming in through your ears. For me, I hear it inside my head. And it's this male voice that talks to me, and he's very loving, very kind. And he talks to me about anything. And one of the things that I used to be able to do until Ma put a stop to it, don't you love that a spirit guide said no, is that when I was in school and they'd give me a test, I could just leave my body and raise up and check everybody else's answers. And my guide says that's not a good idea because you're not learning anything. And my reaction was, I don't care whether I learn or not, I just want to get it right, you know. And that started a whole set of lessons from my spirit guide about how it is to be spiritual, quote unquote. And the same thing, you know, with the roulette table. When I'd say, oh, it's going to be 34, and it would be. And then I'd say, oh, it's going to be 23, and it would be. And just at the third one, I'd say, oh, the number 17. I'd push everything out on 17, and boom, it wouldn't be there. And Ma said, you've got to learn to not use your psychic ability for monetary gain. So there's really lessons that he taught me too. And it was real interesting. So I can still walk in and call the number and just stand there, and sure enough, it falls into that number. But the minute I put money out, doesn't work. And it's his way of saying, see, you use this for good, not for greed. And I think that's one of the lessons that we all learn. For me, it was at a very young age. It's not that I was in a gambling hall at an early age, but it was the same with cards. You know, I could tell what kind of card the person was going to play when we were playing gin rummy. And he put a stop to that too. He said, no, that takes away the fun. It's another skill, but it's not approved of because that makes you a winner all the time. You can't learn lessons in life if you're a winner every time, which I thought was very interesting to learn at 6 years old.
and so powerful because
Yes.
so many adults that we all know will leave nameless don't realize that it's not the winner all the time. That's so powerful, Dottie. I'd never thought about not getting it, because I know people, especially family members, who know that we have this gift. They're always like, so do I take that job? Do I put that money down? And I'm thinking, what do I look like? 411? Somebody's old enough who knows what that is.
I was just thinking, wow, that's a long time ago. Does that still exist?
That dial. Well, she's talking about gambling as a 5-year-old. So,
Yeah, exactly.
That's powerful, Dottie. Wow.
It sure is. That was a question I was going to ask both of you.
How do you know it's a guide? People ask me that. Maybe I'm mentally unbalanced, and it's my, psychic crazy self talking.
I'm not going to deny the mentally unbalanced. Okay. No. What happens is, I believe everybody has a spirit guide. When we come in with a spirit guide, we quite often have a sense of what gender we're going to be, and we feel we want somebody we can communicate with, so we choose somebody of the same gender. That even though spirit guides don't have a quote sexual energy, they still have a proclivity towards a certain gender. So what happens is, if you're female, you're going to be born female, you ask for a female guide because it feels comfortable. I have no idea how I got Ma, but having a male guide, I hear his voice and I know it's him. I know it's not that little voice we all have, that yourself talking to you, yourself that says, well, you got to lose weight, or that self that says, no, you don't want to do that. And it's you talking to you. Everybody has that voice. Ma is a different voice completely because he's a male voice. And so that's why I've always known it wasn't me thinking.
Well, do you also have, because I know mine's male, and I really resonate with that energy, because I know I put out a lot of male energy, and so it really, really resonates with me. And I can feel that confidence in people say, well, how do you know it's your voice? And just what you said. But I like the fact that they do choose a silent moment, and I get, no, this is the one for you to work out. This, because you and I both know, and Jacalyn, we've all lived long enough. The path is tough, but it makes us better when we walk the path on our own. Because sometimes I get asked, well, just ask your guide. Just ask your guide. And I'm thinking, what do I look like? 411 here? Go live your life and figure it out.
Yes, but what happens there too is I can ask my guide and he'll just say no.
Right.
Right. And the times that he says yes, for instance, people say, oh, well, can you tell me if I'm going to win the lottery or not? And I'll say, no, you're not. And so this lady came in to see me and she says, I really need money. My daughter had this horrible, horrible thing happen where she had a heart and lung transplant, which is amazing. And she can't drive a regular car, but she could if she was assisted in a special vehicle. And she said, and I need that money. And Ma said, buy a lottery ticket. And the amount of money she needed for this new automobile, and this has been years ago, was $39,000, and she hit the lottery for $40,000. And I've had two other examples of people winning, not the whole lottery, but winning part of just the exact amount of money that they needed. And so there again, it was somebody who had a request and really had a need to help somebody else, and they got the money. So am I going to help you win the lottery? Probably not, unless there's some real specific reason why the lottery money would benefit someone you're helping. So Ma is not there exactly as you said. He's not there for every request. But if it's something you're doing that's very altruistic, he's going to, in all of his power and whatever that is, however he works, he's going to help you. And I think that's true of all spirit guides. They don't help you meet the person that you want to be with for the rest of your life. But the person who's interested in you might use their guidance to help, okay? And so sometimes things happen that are so unique that I will say, Ma, did you have anything to do with this? And he'll say, no. That was their guide working.
Yeah. And keeping people patient is another big thing. With animals, I really coach that they do their own work.
Right.
Because you and I know that builds relationship. Right. If you have a married couple, you have a pet owner and a pet. And so many people. I'm just going to give them up. Well, that's not a relationship. You're not willing to do the work. What, you think the next dog, the next cat's going to be better because you still don't want to do the work. So right. The same thing with a relationship. We all know there's times to say, okay, we've done what we can. But there's also times to say, have I done everything we can? And I know for me, and I'd love your input, is I tell people all the time, I don't see that yet. There are decisions, like 4 decisions away from us knowing that answer. You haven't taken that job, or you haven't changed that behavior, or sold the house or something. So there's 900 other decisions before I can tell you if that's going to even work. You need to live.
Well, but one of the things that people don't care for is I'm constantly having women call me and say, I want to know if my husband's cheating on me. And I say, I'm sorry, I'm not reading your husband. I'm reading you.
Right.
What I'm saying to you is your relationship has problems because you are whatever it is. And quite often it's because you're grabbing his phone, reading his messages, and construing what you're seeing as what you want to see, not what's actually there. And they say, well, but he's doing it. That's not why we're here. We're here to talk to you about what's coming up with you. We can tell what's coming up if you don't change your attitude or your energy or whatever. And one of the things that Mom says quite often, which I love, is they say, well, I don't know. There's nothing I can do to help this relationship. And my guide says, give them a massage. Touch this person, whether it's male, female, I don't care. The person you're in a loving relationship with, just reach out and touch them. Well, then they might want sex. What do I do about that? Well, then if you're withholding sex to get what you want, Ma says that this relationship is going down the drain based on what you're doing, not what he's doing. And that gets very difficult for people because they want to blame the partner for everything. Now, if there's any kind of violence or if there's any kind of major stuff that's interfering with this person's life I'm reading, then I suggest they get to counseling, or I suggest they call the authorities. But as a psychic, and with the information I receive when I'm doing readings, I have a list of agencies people can reach out to for what they're going through, not in what the other person can do, but the person I'm doing a reading on.
That's so important. It literally saves lives. And the only time so far, reading for a young woman at one of my classes, so there's like 10, 15 people in the room. So she goes to sit down because she actually came up closer to me so we could talk, and everybody's listening. And she went to sit down, and her pet said, no, she's not telling you something. And the pet told me that her partner had threatened her life that morning and was going to kill her. And I said, what? And she said, he told you? And I said, because you are in danger of being killed when you go home. And you should see, there's 10, 15 women in that room, never met before. Man, they were ready to escort her home and kill some little men there. And they will tell when your life is online. And it looks like you've had the same experience, when it's so important that we get that message to them and say, we've got your back, we've got your support. And we did. We literally virtually and physically hugged her, gave her the strength to say, you need to you need to save your life. You need to get out, and you need to get out now. Even your dog knows that.
Right. But you have to follow up with that and say, and if you can't do that on your own,
right? Because
there's a lot of people that we know that are victims, and they've been so victimized, they can't even take a step forward. Exactly. And I say to them, I want you to know, if you can't do it on your own, please call me and I will get you help.
Right. And 2 of the ladies actually were there and found out they lived close by, and they said, we'll come with you, make sure you're safe, because she didn't feel like she could leave the home safely if she got a suitcase or the dog or whatever. And so there was a lot of support. And as you said, there's a lot of outside support that people can ask for. We want to be there and give that advice, but we're I think, Dottie, you let me know if you agree. We're not in charge of the message. We're
Right.
simply the mouthpiece that says, this is what you must need to hear. Because I keep telling people, I don't know why I'm saying this. This has nothing to do with my education, my knowledge, college, and blah. And the person goes, oh, or they cry, or they laugh. And I'm going, okay.
It's like people call me and say, Dottie, do you remember? I go, no.
No.
Don't you remember? And Ma said to me, Dottie is just a Teflon lined funnel.
There you go.
And I love that. It comes straight
That's
through
a good
me.
visual. Yeah, that's a great fit. By the way, we have a comment.
Yes.
Reverend Dottie is powerful. I call my guide my garden angel. I also think I have several grandmas watching over me. Sometime when I don't listen, it is a mistake, and I have to tell them sorry about that. Hope people reach out to Reverend Dottie to learn how to be in tune. I think it's in tune with their spirit. From Diane Floyd Beam. Thank you, Diane.
Yes, that's wonderful.
Reverend Dottie, any comments?
Yes, we all have those guardian angels, those grandmas or those mothers or that. And sometimes even as far back as I pull in a woman who looks very Victorian, the way she's dressed, and some of the information that she gives me that she's been trying to help her grandchildren, and they just don't listen. Well, there again, she's a female talking to females, and they're coming up with this fiction in their head. They don't understand. So what I always say, if you want to hear your spirit guide, ask them to speak in a different dialect. For some people in a different language, if they were born in a different country, or in a different register. So if your guide comes through, even though it's female, in a really deep voice, and yours is a lot higher, you're going to it's going to get your attention immediately. And that's what we can do. And that's why grandmas, when they come through, their voices are usually just a little bit more creaky than your own voice, because they've been around for a long time. So that sets them up as an authority for you, because you know you're bringing in a spirit.
The only other question I would like you to really, and of course you elaborate where you need, but I've had people ask, are there evil spirit guides? Are there ones that will lead me astray? Are there, because you have that resistance of listening and that kind of stuff. So how do you respond to, that?
Well, first you ask, have you been asking anybody something like that? Have you been playing with a Ouija board? Have you been talking to negative people and you're pulling their energy in? Let's find out what this being is doing. Now, I have people here in California and other parts of the United States that are living on land that is originally inhabited by our first people. And so they have this Native American energy that's still there. I don't know why, I haven't even researched it, but why Native American energy stays in the land where other people's energy doesn't. And sometimes they're like one of my clients kept having a bunch of Native Americans celebrating by going through her house into the forest beyond and having a powwow. They were all in spirit form. But as they went through their house, they turned on her water, they flipped on her light switches, they did all these modern things that they never had. And she could just feel this whoosh. And she said, I need to know what to do. And I said, they're not evil, they're not negative. They're just reenacting the powwow that they had when they were in body. So what I want you to do is talk to them and ask them to please go around your house. And she said, would you come down into Santa Barbara and do that for me? And I said, sure. I went down and talked to them, and they said, oh, darn, okay, we don't make her upset. It was just so much fun.
Yeah.
And so sometimes that's it. What was seen by her as negative spirits really wasn't. I try and talk to the spirits and find out what they're looking for, what they want. Sometimes they see a negative spirit as a voice that says you need to kill yourself. And I say, how often do you feel like you don't want to be on the planet anymore? So they are thinking these thoughts and then having to direct them towards a disembodied spirit so they don't have to realize they have these negative thoughts. So that's a whole nother thing too. So when you look at each case individually, they're different. Now, a negative spirit or a spirit that you feel is evil can never hurt you because they're not in body. But if they say boo and you jump and run into a plate glass window, you're the one that hurt yourself. They didn't. And this is the thing, that because every once in a while there's a spirit that gets a kick, like the people running through the house that we're having a powwow. Sometimes there's spirits around that are getting a thrill out of making people miserable. Now, I haven't figured out why yet, but I work with them a lot. My partner, Corky, that's what she works with. She's a hypnotherapist, and she really works at getting the evil thoughts in people's mind released so they don't hold on to them. But almost all the spirits that I have met, their spirit guides, are positive, loving, and teach that we are not supposed to be mean to other people, not hate other people. I mean, they come through with all this positive energy. So if you feel like you're possessed, if you feel like you're being haunted, if you feel like there's something out there that's trying to make you crazy, either find somebody who can help you with hypnosis, find the psychic who specializes in letting go of that. And you'll find that there's a lot of people out there that's what they work with, is helping to release negative energy.
It's amazing. That is amazing. That's what I was going to. That's what I was going to ask you, is when a person needs to get professional help if they feel like they are being possessed or they have evil inside them.
And look at your religious leaders. Almost every priest has been trained in the Catholic Church of how to deal with this. In fact, the Catholic Church is the one that started doing exorcism, and we're doing really well after they realized there was such a thing. But every religion, ministers, priests, their rabbi, they all have some training because they've run into this. And some even when they were going through the ministerial studies, they learned about this. Don't just sit and feel like you're being driven crazy by a negative spirit. Find somebody who specializes in releasing and helping you move forward.
And maybe
I love that.
On a next show, you'll quantify, how do you find a qualified one? How do you know that they are not selling, ice gum for millions of dollars? You know what I mean? They're going to come in.
Snake oil.
We've all had the TV shows, like they come in with the big game, and it's really much more simple than that. And we'll talk about that. How do you know if somebody knows what they're talking about?
Well, I want to give you just one quick one. I hear people say, well, I have bought all these crystals and I have done all of this, stuff and all that. If you want to have a lot of crystals in your house, you've got it right now, and it's in a blue box called Morton's. It's salt. Salt is a crystal. Take a handful of salt. If you think there's that Uncle Joe who died 50 years ago is lurking behind the couch, just take a handful of salt and throw it behind the couch. It's not going to hurt your carpet. It's going to get rid of moths, and it's the cheapest thing you can do. But when you do that, you say, I want to release you, and you just throw it. Don't worry about the most expensive thing on the market. As usual, it's the absolute cheapest thing you can do.
Yeah, that's really so much simpler. Thank you. That's exactly. I just hate for everybody to run out there and go, I have to get the $3,000 guy because, he's $3,000. And I'm thinking, no, that's not how this works. There are simple ways.
Very, very, very simple. And I'm always for that. Very
exactly.
Yeah. And please stop burning things and put it in the atmosphere. If you have somebody you want to release, whether you feel it's a negative spirit and a negative ex-husband, write a note. I say, I release you, and put their name. I release you. I release you. I release you. Tear it up in little tiny pieces and flush it down the toilet. And trust me, the water treatment plant's going to take a lot better care of it than the atmosphere as far as pollution goes.
Thank you. That is amazing, Dottie. Wow. And
a lot of great gems today.
Month, Dottie is back on the first Friday of the month, second Friday of the month. please, everybody, join us for more amazing conversations.
Can I just say one more quick thing?
Absolutely.
The service this week at church, and that's the Center for Creative Living, is going to be Life is Too Short to Hate.
Oh.
And we're going to be talking about how you can turn negative thoughts of hate into love. So, and we're going to be hearing a song clip from our wonderful Reverend Ronnie Grigsby that's called Life is Too Short to Hate. And it's something that was written by a friend of mine. Aminah, remember the sock hop?
Yes.
Yes. Well, Blaine, who was the leader of the group that played for the sock hop, he wrote this song.
Oh, how wonderful.
Life is Too Short to Hate.
And if you're on the radio, it's the Center for Creative Living. They're on YouTube. They have a virtual and a in-person church, and it's for everybody. Church is a very wide description on just a spiritual place to go. Again, Center for Creative Living. Please look them up for just a plethora of topics from every walk of life, from every dimension. So please join Dottie and everybody out there.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Reverend Dottie, is there any other contact information? That's all I could remember. I could remember your phone number. So anything else you want to share for people to get in touch with you?
Yeah, my phone number is 408-220-5780. And I'm available to do readings. I'm available for conversation. I'm available to talk to you about my look at your energy. Okay? How does your energy look to the people around you?
Reverend Dottie, what's your phone number again? I'm updating the banner.
408-220-5780.
Thank you.
And it's a Center for Creative Living UCM.org is our email.
Center for Creative
Living.
There you go.
There you go. Thank you so much.
And next week we're talking dogs.
Okay.
All right. Fantastic.
Thank you.
I got a dog expert coming. We're going to talk dogs.
All right. We'll look forward to seeing you next month.
Absolutely. Take care.
Sounds great.
Bye. Bye, Quirky. Bye.
Bye.
We should have the two of them on together sometime.
Oh, yeah. You're going to have a longer show.
Okay.
Well, because you see why I invite these and these people I've asked to be regular guests, because the plethora of Dottie's knowledge alone, just Dottie's knowledge, and what you and I can ask from me being a new psychic compared to her, I'm a newborn, and you're not in this world, and so you have that questions from just wow, I'd never heard that concept. So I love when people write in questions, because maybe we haven't asked the questions that the audience is looking for. So that is amazing too. I'm also going to start inviting more specialists in the animal field. So if you are a specialist from veterinarian, or you just work with cats or ferrets or dogs or guinea pigs or whatever, please get a hold of me at bridgingworlds.us, and I would love to talk to you about coming on our show.
Fantastic. You know what else I was going to talk to you about? Maybe in the future, we might invite one or two people who want to actually ask you questions, but they're on the show for 10 minutes or something.
Absolutely. We can play it. The wonderful thing is you've created such a fluid platform that it really can be tailored in the moment and through so many means. That's why for me, I have clients all over the world, because being an empath also, I feel what you're saying. People don't realize if you're nasty to me, oh gosh, it's like getting hit by a boulder sometimes. And I've learned to put up some guards and say, ooh, let's move around that person, and that kind of stuff. And I think that's why plants speak to me, because I can see the wilt on the leaf, I can see the roots struggling and that kind of stuff. And I apologize to them regularly if I forget to water or something else on my side, because they are living, breathing things as we are. And to send out the love is really, really important. It's not possible every day. I understand that. Everybody has a bad day. But if you have a reason to get up every day to say, hey, I'm going to do better today, then we're here to support that.
Absolutely. We sure are.
Yeah.
How can people get in touch with you, my friend?
bridgingworlds.us. Everything is there as far as what I'm about. Videos are up there, how to make an appointment, all that type of stuff. We find a time that works for both of us, regardless of where you are in the world. The wonderful thing is the internet is there, and bridgingworlds.us.
bridgingworlds.us. I hear it in my head all the time.
You got to come up with a jingle, obviously. You're one of those wonderful singers that you have on your show.
We have had some people with amazing voices, that's for sure.
They are. It's just amazing. And I don't know how you do it all day long. Because all day long I'm going, oh, that would be great. Oh, I'm going to fit that one in. And then you do it on a walk or something like that. It's just wonderful.
Well, thank you for watching. I appreciate that. It means
Absolutely. And thanks for having me. We're having a great time. Again, we're going to talk dogs with somebody that is got a wonderful, Krista's got a wonderful WAG Out Loud is her company. And so she specializes in dogs. So we're going to talk to her about dogs.
I can't wait. I don't have any dogs right now, but I am a dog lover.
There you go.
All right. I will let you go and have a wonderful weekend. I've got another show coming up, but it's been a pleasure seeing you again. And thank you for bringing Reverend Doti and Corky. Thank you so much to them. And I look forward to catching up with you.
Absolutely. See you next week.
See you. Bye-bye. I just wanted to, one announcement is to remind you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Our YouTube channel is USA Global TV. And I'm looking for my banner. Where are you, banner? Here it is. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, USA Global TV. You can find all of our content over there. I am working with a company to change all of our branding. So you will see things changing gradually. And then all of a sudden one day you'll be like, whoa, what happened over there? So enjoy the journey with us. We appreciate you being here. I am so excited when people write in. Thank you, Diane, for writing in. And thank you to everyone who watches our shows, whether you watch it live or not live. It's all appreciated. I can share that with you for sure. Thank you to my co-host, Aminah, who puts her heart and soul into it. She really is well prepared. She brings great guests, and I think it's evident that she really cares about her work. So thank you, Aminah. I am going to say goodbye for now because we have one show coming up, which is Stories of Hope, Inspiration, and Overcoming Adversity. So stay tuned. We will be back shortly. I think I'm going to be back in 20 minutes. All right. Thanks again. Enjoy your weekend.